Hello everybody, this is Becky Browning with Wallflower Greetings. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I am back for the second part of my easy sponged watermelon card. So here's the card right here, and in the previous video we did this piece. We sponged the front. This is a piece of Whisper white cardstock. And let me just recap the colors because I may not have been very descriptive before. So we had 4 colors for this card. I used sponges to apply the color. And so we have a darker green, which is called Emerald Envy. And then we had the next color, which is sort of a yellow color, but it has a little bit of green in it. And this is called Lemon Lime Twist. So if you think about the colors from the 80s, this kind of reminds me of that lemon lime from the 80s. And then we have a light pink color, which is called Flirty Flamingo. And then a really bold and bright pink, kind of a pinky purple color, which is called Berry Burst. Okay, so those are the 4 colors that we sponged onto our card. And so we had several layers. Let me show you the layers. So the first is a piece of thick Whisper white cardstock. This is folded to make our base. Again, I will put dimensions down in the description. If you're on YouTube, it'll be down below the video in the description area. If you're on Facebook, it will be in a separate post. So I will actually provide you with all the materials and the measurements as well. So this is my card base now. You can't probably tell on the video, but I didn't fold this very well. It's kind of got a little messed up right here, but not to worry. I'm going to cover this part up, which is wonderful that you can do this with crafting. Usually you can pretty much salvage anything. My piece of basic black cardstock is the same size as my card base. So it's going to cover the whole card base, and it's going to cover that up. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and adhere that. I'm going to move my ink out of the way so we have a little bit more space. I'm going to go ahead and just adhere the black piece, the black, basic black, to the Whisper white base. So you can use whatever adhesive you would like. I prefer snail actually, but I am out. I'm waiting on some. I've gone through it. So I'm going to use Tombow multi-purpose adhesive, and it's a liquid glue. It's a little thicker than Elmer's, and it's actually more sticky than Elmer's, so it's really great for a lot of different projects. So I'm going to just do, it doesn't take a lot. I'm going to just do a line on the edges here and just scribble a little in the middle. What's great about this glue, which is a little better sometimes depending on what you're doing than using snail. Snail is very sticky, and if you press it down, it's going to stay there. This one dries a little slower, so you actually have time to kind of position it and move it around if you need to. Now what I'm doing is I'm standing this up and using the table as a guide and using my fingers to kind of press that into place on my card front. And so that makes it really, really easy. So there's my card base. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside, and we're going to do some stamping. This is, again, a stamp set. It's photopolymer, and we're going to use the Sweet Sentiment from this stamp set here, which is called Cool Treats. It's in the annual catalog. And with photopolymer, it's very, very clear, which is nice, so you can see where you're stamping. You can position it just right by looking through the acrylic block. One thing that you're going to need if you are stamping on a table like I am, which is one of these plastic like TV tray tables, or a craft table, one of those portable tables, you need a kind of a more solid surface. If you use your kitchen table or even a kitchen counter, it'll work just fine. But for this, I'm going to need something foamy below, so to kind of give it a good impression. So I'm going to use one of our Stampin' Pierce mats. So it's kind of thick. It's got a thick foam. It's going to give it a nice impression. So I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to take my sponged piece. Now you could stamp this wherever you like. For mine, I stamped it in the top right hand corner, the word sweet, but you really could position it wherever you want to on your card. You could even stamp it on the inside of your card if you would rather. So typically what I usually do, and I got in a hurry and did all the sponging first, but typically what I would tell people to do is to actually go ahead and stamp your sentiment first, so that if you didn't like it, you could flip it over and stamp it and then do your sponging. But we're going to go ahead and go for it, and I think it'll be fine. One thing you might want to do is you want to test this to make sure that it has a good impression, or that it's inked well, and you can do that on your scratch paper. And I just noticed that I forgot my black ink, so let me grab that. So I'm going to use, this is black archival ink, and it's really great. Oh, goodness sakes. Well, I'm going to knock the camera over. That's fun. All right, let's get that back in place. If I can do that without it falling apart on me now. See if that is back. This is fun. Don't you just love crafting with me? You never know what's going to happen. And my little base is not wanting to stay put now. It's a wonder. There we go. All right. All right. So I like the basic black archival ink because it gives a nice, good impression. It's great if you're going to watercolor, so it won't smear. So that's always a good thing. And even when you're sponging, it won't smear as well. So it's really good. So I'm going to go ahead and ink my stamp. And I'm going to test it first just to see if I got good coverage. And you don't, when you're inking your stamps, you want a light touch. You don't want to smish it into the ink, because you will get ink around the edges. Okay, you'll get a line. And you also just want to tap it. You're not squishing a bug, as my upline would say. I'm just going to, yep, that looks good. So I'm just tapping. And then I'm going to stamp. And because you can see through this, it's pretty easy to line up. But if you're afraid that you're going to mess it up and not make it, line up, you can just do it at an angle. And so for this one, I'm actually going to do that because I think it'll look just fine. So either way you like it. So I'm going to do mine at an angle, kind of tilted. I'm going to press straight down, give it a good impression, and let it sit for a minute to get really, into the paper. And then I'm going to lift up. And there you go. I think that turned out great. Okay. Let me go ahead and put this away so I don't put my hand into it. So I'm going to close that back up. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put on our seeds. So I had already in the previous tutorial showed you, or the previous video, how to punch those out using the Tree Builder punch. And now we're going to adhere them using mini glue dots. And so I have them already mounted on the dot here on my roll. And I'm just going to pull them off and stick them on my card wherever I want. And I'm just going to, what I'm doing is I'm lightly laying them down so that if I want to move them around and reposition them, I can. So I'm trying not to really stick them down to, I'm not going to press on them too hard, I guess. And I'm kind of doing it where the pointy part of the teardrop is up, okay? But I'm kind of tilting them in different directions because seeds go in all different directions in the watermelon. So it doesn't really matter how you put them on. Whatever looks good to you, because it's your card. And I'm sort of alternating them, kind of where the seeds, one's up, one's down, kind of not all lined up in a row, basically. So I am going to move this around. See, this one I stuck down pretty good. I don't know if I can get it back up. Oh, it looks like that's interesting. My glue dot, okay, it's actually on the card. I'm going to pull it. It's actually losing its sticky. So I'm just going to pull it off, actually. And I'm going to put another glue dot on there. So see, you can kind of fix these. If you scrape it enough or touch it enough, it will lose its sticky after a while. And I'm just going to put another glue dot on here because I want to reposition this a little bit. There we go. And this one maybe down here a little bit. Yeah, I like that. So there's my seeds. Yeah, that's good. So you could do 4, I have 4 on here. You could do 5 if you want to. Sometimes I like odd numbers because it seems to give it more balance. But for this card, I did kind of like the look of 4. But you can do whatever you would like. And I'm trying to hide this particular glue dot because it's sticking out from behind. There we go. Okay, so there's the card. That's really it. All you're going to do now is adhere this to your card base so you have a nice outline of the black behind this card to make it pop. And then of course, don't forget to stamp and sign the back so that people know that you made it. And that's all there is to this card. I hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for another one. Thanks.